Morning, and thank you that you gave the right answer, so I don't have to change my presentation. Digital leadership, digital transformation and leadership is the headline. Why is it okay that I talk about it? Capgemini picked this topic, digital transformation, up together with MIT Center for Digital Business, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, 2009. So we have a 5-6 year tradition in working in digital transformation. It makes sense to synchronize a little bit. What is digital transformation? It's quite simple. It's using digital technology, and you all know what I'm using today will not be what I will use tomorrow. But use of digital technology to improve, to radically improve the performance or the reach out of your company. So that's the content and the headline, what I understand with digital transformation. What are we focusing on? Number one is really customer centricity. You can ignore it with your organization or with your company, but you all know that everybody is living in his personal style, in his personal digital world. Address this, guys. And of stupidity. If these guys are all living in the digital world, you cannot ignore that they have expectations, that they have experiences. And no limits. Removing traditional constraints in operation. Today, it's not necessary to make banking with a bank. And you have to think in your industry what is possible directly inside and outside. Data is the new oil. You all know the buzzword big data. Data science is the topic behind. Data science transfers insight to business assets in your market and into your today clients and into your future clients. Beyond consumer, think about the Internet of Things, about devices, about assets. And the final point, agility. I addressed it with digital transformation. What today is digital technology will change in the next few months, years, whatever you can imagine. So that's the major message I have. Separating in the what and the how concerning digital transformation. The capabilities, the digital capabilities on the left side, and the leadership capabilities on the other side. The what, using digital technology to transform the experience of your customers, to transform the operational processes, and to transform your business models. That's what I try to address with the what. And the how, at the end, is not only having or implementing new technologies, not only solely focusing on that, how to manage a real digital successful transformation. The what and the how. So, sometimes a little bit boring, but could be interesting. This is a survey we made with roundabout publicly traded companies, big companies beyond 500 million euro revenue 2.5 years ago. And we focused on revenue, profitability, and market value of these companies. So, it's the same template. On the left side, the what, digital intensity, bottom, transformation management intensity, the how. So, and if you look on for example, the revenue side, then you have companies that are very strong in using and applying digital technology, but not yet strong in leadership, have a good chance to improve their revenues with 6% above the average compared to their own industry. For example, for travel touristic, it's a good message. You're far ahead by using digital equipments, but there's something to do with your leadership. If you go to profitability, I'm on the same page with this minus 11% compared to the other players in the same industry. You are strong in digital intensity, but on the other side, lack in leadership leads to loss in profitability. Why? Because it's not well managed, it's not well organized, and whatever problems, what kind of problems you can imagine. And market valuation is the same impact. On the other side, if you are strong in digital intensity and in leadership, plus 9% efficiency concerning revenues, plus 26% in profitability, and a high value with plus 12% compared to your own industry in market valuation. So it's a trend. There's only 200 companies. It's a trend, and we will repeat this in a few months again, and I'm sure it will show in the same direction. So looking into the different industries, it's not a surprise, I hope for you, that you can feel as a fashionista, strong in using digital, but not yet really strong in leadership. That's the message here behind. On the other side, banking, on the right side, we call entering the digitiratis. Strong in leadership and strong in applying digital technology and digital equipment. I'm still on the page, the what and the how, and if you are there, travel and hospitality is closest to your industry, then you can make your own conclusions at the end. Shifting, rethinking boundaries, a few snapshots. New value from social. Reflect how to apply and what the perception will be you want to launch via social media. Product service, bring it together, make it seamless in the perception of your customers and clients. Customer access claim on the right side, go beyond your products, add more services on it. Meshed conversation, make it easy to use. We all don't like it if we have to apply complicated apps we do not understand how to use. Any surprises? Selected targets, one size fits all, will not work in this market. You have young guys, you have elder people, and you have really dress the right guys in the right way. And seamless integration, go beyond a pure digital way. For example, with Loca Fox or with the Oropo portals, research online purchase in a normal way in shops or something else. So these are a few items to give an impulse where rethinking could make sense. To summarize, the what? Building blocks of digital capabilities, customer experience, operations and business models. On the other side, the how. Leadership, digital transformation and leadership is the headline of this 45 minutes. Leadership capabilities is what turns digital investments into your digital advantage. That's the key message. You must have a vision from top down. You must engage your team, your people, and your clients at the end. Establish a strong digital governance to steer the course. And technology is in the middle, you have to use it, but at the end, technology is behind the curtain and your business is on stage. But to be honest, less engineering, more emotions. We should never forget, and insight and emotions are main drivers for successful relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yeoh. If you will join us on the panel. So I have the pleasure of introducing our three panelists. So first of all, we have Marco Rijn, who's the Chief Digital Officer for Thomas Cook. And so I asked these questions of them. Marco basically drives the digital strategy within the group. He prioritizes the digital roadmap and digital development teams for all channels. And I also asked him why he does what he does, why he does what he does, because, you know, it's a key thing to be motivated. And he says it gives him a chance to be at the heart of one of the most progressive and challenging digital transformation in recent corporate history. And the difference he wants to make to travel is he wants to have customers and travelers have great experiences. So we have Marco Rijn. So next up, we have Leila Sama, who's the Industry Council Lead for Facebook. And she leads Facebook's German travel vertical and consulting clients on how they can leverage Facebook. And he has passion for the business, and because she really wants to see, she sees a huge unlocked business potential for Germany. Last but not least, just received on my smartphone this morning, please welcome Thomas Helbing from Sono. And he is extremely proud in his day job to work with an enthusiastic crew. And he calls himself a little nerdy by nature. So we will find out how nerdy you are today, and why he does what he does. He likes to improve today's digital world in every key discipline except at the time of Oktoberfest, which we all understand. That's when he's sort of busy being a nerd and drinking. And the difference he wants to make to travel is he wants to work on a natural, seamless travel experiences supported by great digital applications. So we really have 4 individuals here who have one common purpose, and we want to make great traveler experience. So welcome to the panel. And I want to start off with the, it was interesting, the presentation, right? And you said that travel was, you know, when you did that chart and you said travel was more fashionistas and that we were strong in digital but weak in leadership, whereas the digitality was high in both, right? So what do you think travel can do to be stronger in that leadership? So to move, do you think it's important for travel to move to that high digitality?
I think it makes sense if you want to earn more money.
Which we all do.
At the end, it's a decision of every organization has to make. I'm not a travel expert, but perhaps I can look a little bit into other industries. For example, very strong in Germany is the automotive industries, and the advantage of the past was technology. Strong cars, beautiful cars, design, full of horsepower, and you can be sure that all the other regions in the world will close this gap, and the differentiation the differentiators will move into another direction. For example, younger people in Germany are not really interested in buying cars. They want mobility services. And all the OEMs, the strong automotive companies, has to reflect how to address their clients in the future first. And what more important is what they have to reflect. Do they want to sell vehicles and others earn the money with the services? Or will they enter into this market? Do you want to sell only a hotel room? Or do you want to sell me something what is very convenient and individual for me? Or another one will do it. And that's where we have to change. And change always is leadership, going into the right direction.
Okay, so you say you're not in travel, so you're making an observation from outside travel. Let's go to Marco, because you're directly in travel. And what did you think when you saw that quadrant that said that travel, we were more fashionistas, we love dressing up, obviously. I mean, that we are strong in digital, weak on leadership. What do you think? Do you agree with that one? And do you think, what is Thomas Cook doing to move itself up?
So I think that travel is a very disaggregated sector, so different by markets. It's probably, a lot of your research may well have been global, so it may have taken into account the US, which is a very different travel market than Europe. I think if we look inside Germany, I suspect we're probably not top left quadrant, we're probably bottom left quadrant, a lot of us. I think that there is an understanding about what technology can do. I think you're absolutely right about the leadership issue, that what will drive or change is having more leadership. And certainly my experience of working in Germany the last 15 months is there is a real appetite for change, but there isn't yet a huge amount of experience in the boardrooms around how to drive that change. So I think people are seeing trends in the travel sector, whether it's, you know, the startups, the Airbnbs, the Hotel Tonight, whether it's the moves of Google, whether it's the OTA players. It's disrupting the traditional travel market, and we have to respond. I think your point about BMW is really interesting. If I look at trends for the travel industry going forward, I think you're going to find more specialization. So technology will act as the glue that will help people glue together the seamless journey, but people will start to specialize more. So whether it's around, you know, concept hotels and being brilliant at the in-destination experience, or whether you're a small niche vertical, a startup that actually excels at the retail proposition, right? We're going to start to see that. I think we'll move away from companies being able to do everything, brilliantly, and we'll see more partnerships happening around how we use technology and where we focus our time and effort.
Okay,
and the leadership part of that is about picking the strategy and making sure that you're investing your time and your differentiation in the right efforts.
Okay, so moving away from generalist to specialist and finding your niche and then just drilling deep into that, both digitally and in leadership.
Be brilliant at your core strategy.
Okay, right, so let's move to Thomas. And Marco, you mentioned those companies like Airbnb, Uber. I mean, they were on stage this morning, you know, and amazing skill. What lessons do you think we can learn from those companies? I mean, what do they do so well that traditional travel companies don't?
I liked your last slide when you spoke about emotions. So they are pretty excited about what they are doing. They are excited on a daily level about it, and the whole team is excited. I think it's not driven top down, but it's on a broad basis. So every employee is working with his full heart every day. And for me, it's a pretty interesting challenge for big companies how to create such a culture of innovation thinking, of agile working environments, etc. So that's the main difference. If we walk into the offices, for example, in these startup companies, or they are even no more startups because they're big companies, but if you walk into these offices, you can feel this spirit, and it's driven by a lot of things. It's driven by salary ranges, variable incomes. It's driven by the desk you have in there. It's driven by if you get a breakfast in the morning and you start in another way into the day. So different areas where you can drive this, this thing.
So on that note, very appropriate to go to Facebook. I mean, you are 10 years old, actually grown up already. I mean, you no longer consider yourself a startup, right? So how do you? I mean, given that you've grown so big, how do you keep that culture of innovation growing from that sort of startup day to now, this huge business?
I mean, we are in the lucky position of being digital by nature. So, I mean, this is why Facebook has been built. So I guess the most interesting question is, how can we just consult our clients, that they learn from us, that they learn from our culture? But if you look at just the market in Germany, I mean, as we all know, it's quite hierarchical. And hierarchy and innovation, it's a huge conflict. And this has to be solved on the client side. So what does that mean for us? If I go to a client, I try to talk to them about KPIs. Because I see a lot of executives who are really open for innovation, but if they pay out their bonuses, they just pay them out for to overachieving the old KPIs, like sales increase and whatever other KPIs. But just ask yourself, did you ever pay out a bonus to a person who failed? And most of the executives in traditional companies would say, no, why should I? But there is one reason you should, because otherwise you will never have an innovative project in place, or people will not be motivated to have this perseverance to also motivate others and to transform the company.
Okay, so changing those KPIs, you're saying that, you know, giving bonuses to people who fail. So do you get a bonus for failure?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. So in your job working for Facebook,
because we need to just to explain that a failure does mean we learn something. If we don't learn, it's a failure indeed. But I mean, we need to improve, we need to optimize, because we don't know how it works, because it's a new way to advertise. So there is not one recipe, and if there is not one recipe, you need to improve, and this is test and learn. So I guess companies should reward people for going new ways, for trying out digital activities they never saw, and for sharing these lessons learned and spread it through the whole organization.
Okay. Which company were you with before Facebook? So how long have you been with Facebook?
Since 2011.
Since 2011. So, you know, personally going into Facebook, like, what was the biggest difference for you as, you know, as a worker in there and getting you motivated?
I mean, the biggest difference was that I didn't have to convince internally people that we should go digital. So this was really
so that was a given. That was a given. Okay.
You should not underestimate that, because I was always working in hierarchical manager positions, where I always had, I guess, 80% of my time I used to convince internally people in the boardroom or wherever that we should use, for example, Facebook as a media channel, etc. This is not the culture inside Facebook.
Okay.
So I can focus on my job, and I can focus on, to help others, our clients, to arm them with the right arguments to internally succeed.
Sure. So the biggest challenge is not internal, but it's external.
Yeah.
Any comment on changing KPIs? Have you done any changing of KPIs within the Marco Polo Group, for example?
Yeah, I think, the digital transformation can only be successful when you've got a leadership team behind it. And getting the leadership comfortable with a world where things do not necessarily have a standard ROI model, where you are going to fail, where you need to do things differently, is not always straightforward. And I think Germany is a great example of where hierarchy and where sort of levels and formality are cultural and exist in business perhaps more than in other markets. And that has its strengths, but in the digital transformation world, that can also be a challenge. So yes, at Thomas Cook, the sort of things that I did when I arrived was we created agile trading rooms. So I took out all the tables and chairs and made people stand, and we had shorter, more focused meetings, and everyone had a voice. You left your title and your ego at the door, and we worked very sort of agile. We went and did something, we tested, we learned, we came back the next day. Did it work? Did we fail? Did we succeed? We brought together much more collaboration across functions. So we were quite siloed functionally, and so we had, in our case, we had marketing, technology, product, finance, HR come together into a room and collaborate on solving an issue. And the issue, guess what, was a customer issue, not actually a Thomas Cook issue. Okay. So you're trying to do stuff about actually driving a change. And when you get the feedback and there's a groundswell that starts to happen where people say, this is great, I feel empowered, or this allows me to do different things, it's a lot easier then to persuade people to invest more time and resources in that, because you are doing something that derives a value for your customers and that derives a value for the business. And we're all short of resources and we're all short of budgets. All right, so we're having to prioritize.
Okay, so let's go to Dr. Uwe and Thomas, right? You look at all industries. Any best practices that we can learn from? Have you seen something outstanding, of digital transformation through leadership?
Not really, but perhaps a few templates. I love this comment from you with rewarding the right things. And let me put another aspect on it. In the past, we were all focused on building robust and efficient processes. And this will change, or this started to change, in the sense that we have to focus more on data and making this data to information and bringing this information at the end to business value. And business value is value for the client, what he is willing to pay for and what not. And this is one of the major change platforms. And then you have to find the right people. We are all living on the same planet, and they all can observe this digital transformation that is happening in the world. And the most ambitious guys, and the most guys are ambitious, want to be part of this game. And if you don't have this smart places in your organization, then this guy will move to another place and they will find it, for example, with Facebook. And you cannot avoid it. And then at the end, coming back to your question, what are secrets of success? Building in your start to build and to install in your organization this smart places where you focus from traditional processes to new business, focus on data, focus on new skills, and for in the most cases hidden talents. Start with crowdsourcing not searching, find the right colleagues in your team, and it will be a surprise. You will find a lot of guys who are really interested in it, and then give them the chance to be creative. And in the second step, redefine success. Creative and success. Okay. But in these two steps. And the most organization where I have insights in exactly did in different extensions exactly these steps. Okay. In front of the brackets, reset, restart, and new glasses to look on our future business.
Okay, great. Thomas?
You ask about nice, interesting showcases. I think we mentioned it already. BMW, for example, in terms of cars. If you look at Drive Now, what they're doing, there was this car in the focus product orientation during the past century years, and now they are thinking about mobility, just offering mobility, and not only offering mobility, but enhancing it with digital services. So if you just imagine, step into your car, you put in your card, and the car knows who you are, and it's just changing, let's say, the color of the panels because you like red more than blue. So it's about creating your home environment into this car. It gets your car, you have your music on the radio, and it's not about a hardware. The car is not the hardware. It's the content you have in your pocket with your mobile device, and that's a fantastic example of digitalization. And in tourism, I think it hasn't really started.
It's like a hotel room that changes color when you walk in.
Exactly. maybe the hotel room is just the hardware in the future, and it's all about, we are providing as a hotel a communication environment. You can stay in contact with your friends. You can use video chat. Maybe video chat and wireless LAN is even more important than the bed in the room. So that's digitalization of the product. Yeah.
I just want to add a couple of comments on something you said, North, in your presentation. I actually disagree that digital transformation is about technology or driven by technology. I think it's actually about people.
Sorry, can you just...
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I partially disagree that technology...
I like disagreements.
Right? Because I think that... there we go. Because I think that the technology is an enabler. So for me, digital transformation is about a process that is enabled by technology. But at the core, it is about people. And we talk a lot about the customer being customer-centric, but actually digital transformation is an internal process, and that's about being employer-centric. So if you're going to talk about multi-channel, omni-channel, high-tech, high-touch, all these claims that we make about our strategy, it has to be the same internally. And so digital transformation is largely about empowerment. Right? It's about trust. It's about engagement. You've got millennials, you've got Gen Ys, you've probably got Gen Zs coming into the workforce, right? Who, the sort of people that everybody at Facebook is, right? They're there, listen to them, do reverse mentoring, empower them, trust them, get out of the issue. The main thing is a leadership role is about unblocking and supporting. Set a strategy, set a vision, and then let everybody else get on with it. Because chances are, the people at the coalface doing the day-to-day work know far more about it than I do. So trust them. Right? And if they fail, to Leina's point, if they fail, understand why they failed, and give them a bit of support and course correct. All right? I mean, clearly don't bet the whole house on it on day one, but you know, find ways that you can keep doing this. That's very different from saying we have to drive something through new technology, or you're right, you cannot scale and you cannot sustain unless you've got that thing empowered by technology. And a lot of the tools need technology.
Okay. Leila, you want to say something? I mean, you know, it's about people, not about technology.
And I just want to say, I guess what we see in Germany is that companies are over-managed and under-led. I mean, this is also Cotter mentioned this in his book, and for Germany, it's really true. I mean, what we see is a lot of hierarchies, a lot of managers, and they are responsible for processes. That processes are going well. but they are not responsible for just building a vision and spreading the vision around the whole company, for rewarding, as we had, people for being visionary, to find hidden digital ambassadors. So what we need is in my opinion, is a mix between a leader, a good leader, and a good manager, because the leader enables innovation, and the manager is responsible for the daily business, because this has to go together.
You need the rock star and the steward to make it happen. I mean, we could go on forever on this topic, but you know, I mean, and I think it also applies in Asia. If you talk about hierarchical, I mean, Japan is truly hierarchical. Korea, you know. And I was reading an article, and it says, like you say, to affect true change in this new economy is not about the technology; it is about the people. And there was a statement that said, today's new worker in the new economy needs to think like an immigrant, create like an artist, and live in beta. So is that hard to do, you think, in developed countries, like, and you know, especially in Germany, where you're talking about, you know, it's overmanaged, you know, is it hard to do where attitudes and habits are hard to change? Because we had a disruptors panel at Focus, right? And they were saying that it's really hard to disrupt in Europe because habits die hard here. What do you think?
I think it's very, very hard to change this, and especially in big organizations. I would be interested in how you're doing it, because many of our clients are setting up innovation labs, digital labs, future hubs, and all these kind of areas. And you put in 15 bright employees who have this mindset. Okay. But it's not really integrated into the whole organization, because they are long learned, over years learned processes, tools, technologies, etc. And just think about digital transformation means you need to rechange everything, and maybe you lose your EBIT at the end of the day.
So for the first stage of our panel, we basically talked a lot about internal, and you know, and what you were saying, Marco, is basically like, and you too. I mean, all of you seem to agree is like, you know, we have to be as you know, we have to be the same, like how we manage within as how we manage our customers, you know, the customers, right? How to manage the market. It should be the same values, like you say, trust, empowerment, and all that. So now let's look at the customer side. And we have a question about customer centricity and how important that is. And so let's take a poll. Can you take out your voting? And we have a question for that. And you can vote too, except you don't have to.
I can vote.
Okay, so the question is about customer centricity.
Analog.
Sebastian, can we have the question, please? Okay. So 1, customer centricity is primarily an issue of optimizing sales and communication channels. 1. 2, it is primarily an issue of product optimization. And 3, it is primarily an issue of price optimization. So vote now. And can we have the music? Yes. Okay. And I'm going to ask you each for your answer. Okay, what was that? It is primarily an issue of optimizing sales and communication channels. Quite a close tie between 1 and 2. So any comments from the panel on those answers? So it's not about price. It is about sales and communication and product optimization. So let's go to your company now and say one thing that each of you have done to become more customer-centric, and what results have you seen from that initiative? Want to go with you?
I mean, customer-centric for me is just increasing the profit of how. Yeah. So what for me, customer-centric in my daily work at Facebook is that I try to help our clients to even better or being more customer-centric towards their clients or their customers. So what does that mean? For example, when I started to work with Facebook, we always were talking about products instead of solutions. We then changed, this was in 2011, we then changed the approach of our meetings. And so I often ask, what keeps you up at night? Mm-hmm. So, and then they reveal their real business challenges. And what we try to do then is to find together the best solution which fits to their current challenges. For example, touristic, they faced the challenge that they needed to increase brand awareness amongst a really narrow target group, about 25 to 45 young persons with a really specific interest. So what we did is we worked really closely together with the agency and the company to identify these high-value customers on Facebook and to help to reach them on Facebook. Okay. After the campaign, we just saw that the brand awareness went up 73%.
Okay, so from products to solutions and asking the right question.
Asking the right question,
okay.
Right.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I do understand the question. I'm being a bit pedantic, but customer-centric sounds a very internal word, right? I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean that we need to understand our customers, that we change our business model around our customers? I think for Thomas Cook, what we're trying to do is absolutely understand how to be relevant to our customers as their needs change. Right? So that's about getting the voice of the customer up much earlier in our strategy, our planning cycles, our involvement, our prioritization. So an example is, for example, in Germany, we had a number of customer sounding boards where we invited panels of customers to come in and work with the management team. And it was a cross-management team. It wasn't just the senior team. It was at all levels on specific issues that have been highlighted in various customer surveys.
Right.
We did a survey where we used semantic analysis. So we started to use much more customer insight and analytical tools to understand the emotional, the semantics of what was important to customers, and brought those themes into the workshops and got customers to then actually work with us to say, if we did this, how would this make you feel? What would be the change in your perception? How would that change you from being somebody that was, neutral about Thomas Cook to really positive about Thomas Cook?
Okay.
How do you change sentiment?
So maybe perhaps let me drill the question to be more specific then. Let's talk about mobile, right? I mean, Booking.com now, 2 days ago on this stage, 100,000 transactions a day on mobile. So obviously it's a huge... and today I received an email from a hotel that I have booked in Los Angeles, and it says, welcome to my hotel. But remember, there's a big activity going on in this area. If you don't like crowds, you don't like music, don't come and stay with us. That kind of personalization. Have you seen any good example of a hotel or a travel company that has achieved that level of personalization?
Well, Booking.com is a travel company, and it's clearly hit that personalization with you, right? So yes. But I think all of us in each of the travel companies, I mean, we all have a strong focus on mobile. I can speak for Thomas Cook. What we've started to do is we have a travel guide and a companion app which goes end to end across the life cycle. And what we're seeing, for example, there is the more personalization that we do, the more targeted that some of our, particularly post-booking, pre-departure communications are. What that results in typically is a threefold uplift in repeat visits or loyalty from the customer. So there's clearly a link between personalization, mobility, right, relevance, customer engagement, and bottom line profits.
Okay. Good. Any examples that you've seen that are maybe not travel related or travel related?
I can explain from our industry. At the end, everything we are doing is in a competitive situation. That's the first point. The second is we have to differentiate, to be different from our competitors. And the third point is, it was a conclusion, that we changed the collaboration models with our clients. Change the collaboration models is always, you can compare it how it was 2 years ago. We had our standard services, we brought it to the clients. Today, we start a little bit earlier and really run into kind of lab situations, whatever you can imagine, and really work together. And in the most cases, it's an investment and commitment from our side. And if it's fine, then he will pay it later. And if not, it was our invest. This individualization and personalization of the special situation where the client is and being better than the competitors.
Okay, maybe do we have questions from the audience at all? Any questions from the audience, from our panel? No? Okay. So the other question, I guess, I want to talk about, since we've talked a lot about talent and how, I mean, we all know how to do our business in terms of facing our customers and all that. Probably the biggest challenge is within. Would you agree? Is like the within challenge and building that culture of innovation. So I was reading a survey on talent for the 21st century by Egon Zentner, and they talked about the desirable qualities for leadership today. Yeah, so there were 4 qualities that they mentioned: curiosity, 1, insight, engagement, determination. So those were the 4 qualities that are desirable today. One, do you agree, or do you want to add anything to that?
I think it's a really interesting survey because it's going back to the approach that you should hire for potential. And I guess this is a new area we are in, so that if you are looking for a talent, you should hire for potential and not for skills or experience or education or whatever. And I mean, these 4 qualities are great to describe how that potential could be. But I would add personally, I would exchange determination with perseverance, because even if it's really a fast-changing world, transformation takes time, and you need a digital leader who is perseverant and who is just for 1 or 5 years. It's well for him if he just needs to motivate every day, as you know that, from new the employees. And then I would add passion, because this is what you need to be perseverant. And at the end, humility, because being humble means that you got up in the morning and you know that you would like to improve what you do, because you are not the best at what you do. And success has to be earned every day in our world.
Good, thank you.
Perhaps I try to build on it. I like these 4 attributes, but there is for me another one. We should not only think in startups and generation Y. A region, a country, a population is more than that. We have all these old guys like me with all the experience we made in the past, and we were successful, and we are still successful. For me, the key word is the professional experience. The individual professional experience has a beautiful chance to make a next step. If you observe the guys in your team, they often have 2 faces. The first is the professional face, in an old-fashioned mode, and if they are at home, they completely change in the digital world. So that's what I tried to explain a little bit earlier. Give them a chance to do it together with your organization, with your team, and it's a leadership momentum to really build these places that the guys have the chance to become trustful, in a trustful mode, to enter into these smart places and run together with the organization behind a new vision.
Okay, so to be themselves and not put on a front.
Sometimes wake up.
Maybe I would like to add, you need to be brave, have courage, be mutig sein. Because if you are thinking in digital transformation, and again, if you are in old traditional processes, sometimes you need to be brave just to bring your project forward. You need to be brave to go to your boss and say, I can't explain you every detail. I don't have a 100-page business plan, and please give me the budget. Also, I don't provide you with all this information. And either your boss is brave or you are brave in order to get this project then done, because you're still in corporate processes. Be brave.
So tolerance. Okay.
I think most of it's been said. I mean, I would take on what you said and just say authenticity. Mm-hmm. I think that sort of summarizes some of those things together. And I think the other one is about communication. To me, any digital team, it's about relationships. Right, so and that's dialogue. It's not monologue. And in hierarchy, it's do this, and it's very prescriptive. All right, and in a digital world, it's about it's that mixture of humility and understanding of people, everything, and passion, and all these things that came. But it's about listening. It's about dialogue. And as a leader, you learn I think when I used to be in Capgemini years ago, and I was taught, you know, a consultant should use these senses in the order they're given. You have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, so listen more, see more, and speak less.
Okay,
and I think that's probably a good guide for managers.
So a great note to end on. You know, please join me in thanking the panelists as they take us into a brave new world of digital transformation and leadership.
Okay.
Dr. Uwe, Thomas, Marco, and Leila. Thank you very much.